Hi everybody, this is part 4 of my 2011 Big 12 college football previews, and today we head to Stillwater to talk about Oklahoma State. Last season was the most successful season in terms of the win total for the Cowboys, as in 2010 they went 11-2. 9 of those offensive starters come back for the Pokes, and that's certainly bad news for opposing defenses, and Brandon Weeden is a big reason why. Weeden, who will be turning 28 in the month of October, the guy last year, first team all Big 12. Matter of fact, he had 37 touchdown passes and threw for nearly 4,200 yards. So you have leadership there, you have maturity, you have an incredible quarterback in Weeden back. The receiving core, I rank him up there with OU, Missouri, A&M, and Arkansas as far as the best receiving units in all of college football. Justin Blackmon, doesn't hurt to have the best receiver in the land come back for you. He was a Blitnikoff Award winner in 2010, and he caught 20 touchdown passes. So Blackmon, who we know has all the capabilities of being a star one day in the NFL, he comes back along with Hubert Anayim and the speedy Josh Cooper, who will also be returning punts for the Pokes. And you can also add Michael Harrison to that wide receiver rotation. They're going to be terrific at receiver, and the offensive line, no worries right here. Big reason why is because you have everybody back. The center's back, Grant Gardner, the guards Lane Taylor and Jonathan Rush. Left tackle, Nick Martinez, who last season had to occupy those massive shoes that was left by Russell Okung, a high first-round draft pick from 2010. Last year, Martinez did fine from the left tackle spot. And the right tackle spot, this guy could be All-American, Levi Atcock. So this is going to be up there with Alabama as far as the best offensive line in college football. What they did last year and all the experience coming back would indicate that. As far as the running game, this is going to be my key number 1, replacing Kendall Hunter, who last season was healthy for the Cowboys, and he was first team all Big 12. That's not easy to replace. You do have guys who played last year in the backfield coming back for Oklahoma State, but none who took on the role that Hunter did. And that's going to be something very critical for this offense. Can Joseph Randle be a guy that can handle a lot of carries? Jeremy Smith, he'll be called upon as well. And a newcomer, Herschel Sims. Herschel Sims, who plays high school ball out of Abilene, very highly touted running back. He's a part of the Oklahoma State roster as well. Don't be surprised if he contributes in the backfield this year for the Cowboys. Key number 2, in my opinion, for OSU, Todd Monken. He's the new offensive coordinator and has to replace Dana Holgorsen, who's now the head coach at West Virginia. In 2009, OSU was good on offense. They averaged 28 points a game. Holgorsen last year, his one and only year there for the Cowboys, OSU averaged 44 points a game and had the number 3 ranked offense in the country. And they did this with a new quarterback and also replacing 4 of the 5 offensive linemen. So a lot of that is coaching. Holgorsen, as I said in my Big East preview talking about West Virginia, he knows personnel. So we'll see if Todd Monken, who has the talent around him, can do just as good of a job as Holgorsen. There's no question that Monken has the materials there in the offensive huddle to do a lot of great things. Let's go ahead and talk about key number 3 to this team, and I think it's going to be Caleb Labby. You may not know who the guy is, but you probably have heard of his the guy that was there before him, and that was Ori Lemon. Lemon last season, first team all Big 12, and led the Cowboys in tackles with 133. I'm not saying Labby has to have 133 tackles in order to make his presence felt, but he does need to be a contributor for Oklahoma State because those are big shoes to fill. You have to replace the weak side linebacker. That's where LaRon Furr will come in. And no worries as far as strong side linebacker with Sean Lewis back. Co-defensive freshman of the year in the Big 12 a year ago. Shared that honor with Tony Jefferson of OU. Lewis, a pretty speedy linebacker, had an interception return a year ago against Oklahoma. As far as the tackles, both have to be replaced because they were both seniors. So that's where Nigel Nicholas, who will be one of the defensive tackles playing this year, will be one to watch. The defensive ends I still think will be good, but you have to replace Hugo Chinasa. Jamie Blatnick is back, and then the other defensive end will be Rashedi Jones. And one thing to really watch for Oklahoma State this year is how they do against the pass. And last season, 6th worst team in college football as far as defending the pass, primarily because teams, for the most part, were behind against OSU, and those teams threw a bunch. So naturally, the secondary was under the microscope, it's still going to be a speedy secondary and one that will create opportunities. Last year, the Cowboys had 19 picks. And coming back for Oklahoma State, pretty good strong safety in Markel Martin. Some think he could be All-American. And then you have a returning free safety, Johnny Thomas, and one cornerback in Broderick Brown. So we'll see if Oklahoma State can continue to be opportunistic. This is a defense that I still think will bend. But the key is, can they continue to force turnovers and take advantage of those turnovers? So they did that against Texas A&M in that thrilling win last year, and they'll need more of that this season, because I still think they'll give up points and yardage, but they also need to force mistakes as well, which they did a good job last year. Quinn Sharp returns at punter for Oklahoma State. He could occupy the place-kicking position now that Dan Bailey has departed, and he was a pretty reliable place kicker last year for Oklahoma State. The schedule, as you can see for September, not really too daunting until you get to the Big 12 opener. No reason why OSU should not be 3-0 entering that Big 12 opener against A&M, a game we'll talk about in a second. It is possible for Oklahoma State to be better this year than last season and maybe not have it reflect in the wins and losses total. That's because of all the road games that they play in conference play, at Mizzou, at Texas Tech, and at Texas A&M. Now, I know Oklahoma State has played well recently on the road, but those 4 teams I mentioned, you play all 4 of them on the road this year. That right there could take its toll, and then you play Oklahoma at home at the end of the season. So the schedule, I think, is tougher this year than last year, and that's why I've got Oklahoma State picked to go 10-2. But I still think the realistic goal for them is to think about the Big 12 championship, if not a BCS at large. Their offense will be good enough to where they should be in contention in every game that they play in this year. I've got them going 10-2 because I still have issues about them on the defensive side, especially from that middle linebacking spot, and as far as the D tackles go as well. You got to be able to stop teams sometimes to win, and I don't know if I trust the Oklahoma State offense to do that on a consistent basis. The big game, there are a lot of big games for Oklahoma State, but one to talk about, I think, is A&M. I know Oklahoma's always a huge game at the end of the year, but if you can beat A&M at College Station, suddenly you can realistically think about a Big 12 championship and maybe a lot more than that. If you lose to A&M, you could still perhaps get a share of the Big 12 championship or still win the Big 12, but only if certain things fall into place. You beat A&M, it's in your grasp. It's in your control. You lose to them, then it's out of your control, and then you have to rely on other people to do your dirty work. So OSU, be a difficult road game against A&M, but is it winnable? Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Will it be high scoring? Oh, yeah, too. So we'll see if this year's game and last year's game coincide as far as the excitement. On paper, it looks like a great matchup. That does it for my preview of Oklahoma State. We'll talk Iowa State Cyclone football on my next show. So long for now.